Welcome into Extra Time. As always, thank you very much for your tweets. Craig and Frank with us. First question, is Atleti the most underrated team by the ESPN FC crew? 8 straight Champions League appearances, knocked out giants like Liverpool, Bayern, Barca, etc. 2 Champions League finals, 1 La Liga, multiple Europa Cups during this run. And I'm not sure if the crew has any other take other than they're boring. Well, they're dirty as well.
Well, I clearly didn't watch the show after the game at Barcelona a week or 2 ago when I said they were their football actually was excellent, and they probably should have won the game, played some great stuff. The truth of the matter is, Daniel, they have at times, not all the times, but at times under Simeone, been dull. And other times they've not.
No, most of the time they've been dull, Craig.
Sorry?
Most of the time they've been dull.
I was trying to appease the
when have you ever appeased anybody?
What? It's the new me. It's the lockdown restart. Sort of just happy to appease people, apart from Man United fans.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? I mean,
like, who gets excited when Atleti are playing? Who's like, oh, I can't wait for this game. It's going to be a cracker. I know they've tried to change things around.
And also, they're not at the top of our list for segments on our show because they haven't quite cut the mustard yet.
Frank, what do you think about Atleti?
They have a very good coach. Yeah. They have a very good team. They do well, but they're not pleasant to watch because they try to break the game. They don't try to build. They try to break the opponents, and it's not very interesting. When you put somebody like 9 players behind the ball, when you only think about defending, about being a little bit dirty, and at some point, with some defenders, you don't enjoy. You are capable of saying, yeah, they're doing great. Yeah, they do great. Yeah, they work hard. They work all together. It must be very hard to be under Simeone orders because the guy is very demanding. But when you watch, as somebody who loves football, you get bored.
So you can't please everybody, Daniel, as you know. It was like the start of this season, I think it was. We had, I think we had some Atletico Bilbao fans who had a couple of good results, and they were bemoaning the fact we never talk about them in the show. I went in the shower for a couple of minutes. I came out, they were back down to 10th in the league. You know what I mean? Why would we talk about them?
How do you remember that, Craig?
Because I've got a memory like an elephant.
Damn those Athletic Bilbao fans.
Get stuffed. I remember everything.
Craig, which club do you believe should sign Jack Grealish? If Aston Villa are not relegated, will he stay at the club?
Did you ask me that?
Yes.
Jack Grealish. Difficult one. Don't see him going to Man City. Don't think they'd be interested. Liverpool. I think you're looking at Man United.
Tottenham?
I think Arsenal would improve Arsenal. Certainly improve Tottenham. I think those are the kind of clubs. Whether Man United feel they need him now with what looks like some appeasement in the Pogba situation, where he looks a bit happier and he's played a bit better. Matic has signed a new deal, McTominay signed a new deal, and then they've got Bruno Fernandes. So that kind of might rule that out, but we'll have to wait and see.
Frank, can a retired professional footballer become a licensed FIFA referee?
I'm sorry, can you say again? Can a retired professional? Yeah, of course. If it is interested, don't ask me. I never wanted to be a referee. I think it would be better than any other referees because they know football, they played football, and they play at that level, so they will be good.
Why don't we see it ever? We've never seen it ever, have we?
Well, you can take. You have to go through the same course as everybody else. Can I mention another? Am I allowed to mention another channel on here? I am. I'm all right with that.
When have you ever asked permission for anything before?
Well, our friends at NBC Sports, if you remember, Graham Lasso and I think it was Lee Dixon, I don't know, they went and tried it. Do you remember that, Dan?
No.
They did a little segment, in fairness to them, and they went and tried. So 2 or 3 years ago, whatever it was, and they went and I think Graham or Lee or whoever it was, Robbie, might have been the Mustos or the Earls, I don't know.
Just saying names now. You're just saying names.
Yeah, well, it's the NBC crew, and they went to referee a game, like an amateur game, just to see and understand how difficult it was. And I think it was Graham Lasso. I think Graham Lasso was the referee. He was the assistant, and he said it was unbelievable. It was so difficult to do, and so it is. And so don't get. I hope I've not put any ideas in our boss's mind that he's going to send Nico and Hislop and Marcotti and all them. Can you imagine Marcotti with referees?
At least a whistle in his mouth would keep him quiet, I suppose.
No,
I'm not sure.
No, but one thing from a professional could do at first, to help the referees is to be in the VAR.
Yeah.
Because we are good at seeing if there is a trick from the striker, or if the defender pulled the shirt, or if it was a real tackle when he didn't do it accidentally. So I think we would be good at helping referees. Being on the field, I'm not sure we have the good reflexes. We were not used to that, so it would be, as Craig mentioned, and it always been when we tried, a nightmare. But in the VAR, yeah, we will be helpful. Yeah.
I actually missed the first bit of that, Dan, and I thought, because Frank was at Chelsea in the good old days when it was when there was lots of socialising after the game, and I thought he said we'd be good in the bar because we had a
after the game.
We had a great little players' lounge at Chelsea. We did, and oh my God, they don't do that anymore, do they? They go and get the lactic acid test, and they get the Gatorade,
good old days.
They get the water, and they're packaged off home and wrapped in cotton wool. Have a beer.
Mind you, given Stevie's odour, I'm not sure you'd want him in the VAR on occasions. You don't want to be in a small room with Stevie at the best of times, to be honest.
Shaka would
fall asleep.
He'd go, oh, good Lord.
He'd be gone.
No.
Okay. Eric Cantona or David Beckham, Frank?
Oh. Eric Cantona, the king. Come on, when he came back from his ban, he made Manchester United winning the championship, the Premier League, scoring games after games, 1-0, call of Cantona, where Newcastle had 14 points difference ahead. Yeah. Beckham was everything. He was global. He was a fantastic player, a young player, a handsome guy. He had everything. But I think what Cantona left to Manchester United is something incredible. That people are still singing songs for him, that didn't know what he gave to Manchester United and how important and decisive that he's been for the club. So yeah, I have to go for the Frenchman.
Craig?
Yeah, well, we both played against both of them, but what I would say is Beckham was people don't realise Beckham was a great player as well. People think it's just about the brand. It's not, and never was. Well, it always was, but that wasn't. The biggest facet of his talent was his on-field talent. But when Ferguson felt he was just getting a little bit too big, he jettisoned him. He got rid of him. He would have crawled over broken glass and did for Eric Cantona. He did when he kung fu kicked a supporter at Crystal Palace. He didn't jettison him. Mm-hmm. He backed him, and I think that's because he knew how much of a genius Cantona was, albeit in a relatively short period at Man United. So I would just go Cantona.
Frank, was there ever a lost in translation moment in the dressing room where you didn't understand instructions? How do coaches get their message across in a team where players don't all speak the same language?
Well, I have to say that as coach I had Rudrulit and Vialli, and after Ranieri. And Ranieri was Gustavo Poyet who was translating to us until he finished on the bench and didn't want to translate anymore. But so we didn't have a problem to understand the coaches. But we had a problem to understand our captain, Dennis Wise. And it took me like 3 years to understand a word of Dennis Wise because the only thing I was understanding it was the F word. Yeah. And otherwise, he's a Cockney and he cuts words, in half, like Kevin Hitchcock was doing as well. And they use other words like, Frank, can I use your dog and bone? And what? Sorry. Yeah, that was, we were lost, but that was the only one. That wasn't the only one. I think Gianfranco Zola was completely lost with Dennis Wise and Kevin Hitchcock. Yeah.
Frank thought there was only 2 words in the English language when he first arrived at Chelsea after about a couple of weeks, and he thought the only words were "shut up." Because that's what people used to say. Frank, Frank,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Shut
Frenchie.
up.
Shut up, Frenchie.
But I tell you, Gianfranco couldn't speak a word of English when he came. I've mentioned that before, and neither could Gianluca Vialli. But that was the story that I told many times on here. That Dennis Wise wrote words for him that translated from Italian into English, but he was changing the translation to swear words. And it took Vialli a week or two to twig, and was actually wishing people good morning by telling them to go and get lost.
In a much more fruitier way, I imagine.
Yes.
Craig, let's stick with Chelsea.
Oh my God.
What was it like to play with Dimitri Kharine, since Kepa has now conceded 41 Premier League goals this season, the most by a keeper for Chelsea in a season since Kharine back in the 93-94 campaign?
Well, Dimitri, when Dimitri, Frank wasn't there at this point, but when Dimitri Kharine signed, he was a long way out as Russian number 1 by a long shot. And unfortunately, when he came in, it was a Chelsea side at the time, which included myself, that was really rebuilding and struggling. And Glenn Hoddle came in, and so we were down near the bottom of the league at that point. And so, we were shipping a few goals, but he was a terrific goalkeeper, nice fella. But he was one of the most agile goalkeepers I've ever known. His agility was incredible, but he just didn't play in the best of Chelsea sides, and so it's difficult to compare. But he had a terrific career, and he stayed in England, and he's now a goalkeeping coach. And so yeah, I wouldn't be blaming Dimitri for the goals that were shipped in that period of Chelsea's history.
That was your fault.
And it certainly wasn't my fault, but it was. I'm blaming Erling Jonsson, and Jakob Kjellberg, and Stevie Clark, and Frank Sinclair,
David Lee.
and
David Lee.
Oh, Dave, the horse. I blame the horse.
Okay,
Yeah.
final question. What did Frank and his teammates do in their free time during competitions such as the Euros or the World Cup? Of course, you didn't have iPads, you didn't have any technology like that, did you, Frank? Black and white TV, was it?
Yes, we were discussing about the world. We were discovering the area we were around. When we were in France, it was very hard because we stay in the camp. It's like a castle. It's in the middle of nowhere in south of Paris. So sometimes I was escaping in the forest, but that was it. But nothing much to do. I mean, you train, you eat, you sleep. You train, you eat, you sleep.
That's it.
You have massage. That's it.
Yeah.
And you work out. When you're not in the first 11, you work out. And I was working out with Vincent Canella during the Euro almost every day. Tried to be in good shape, for the sun and the sea after the World Cup or the Euro. That's it.
Craig, you dyed your hair.
Well, yeah, but during Euro '96, Craig Brown was quite clever because we stayed at an old country hotel outside Stratford-upon-Avon, and it was miles and miles from the nearest pub.
Right.
So we spent a lot of time at that hotel. There was a couple of snooker tables. That was about it. In Saint-Remy in France, 2 years later for the World Cup, we were a lot closer to the local establishments. And we used to just play some little sports games at the hotel, but we were allowed out because there was, I think, around a week between games at the World Cup. We were allowed out for a libation as long as common sense was used, which I think is a very
say that to a group
way
of Scots
of policing a 22-man squad.
Yeah, I'm sure that went really well.
Yeah,
but
but
it's impossible to have
listen,
a common sense when you're
listen,
hot and you go to drink.
Yeah, listen, Gaffer. Listen, let's have a sensible thought process around this. We'll just go to the local village, and we'll only have a couple.
Yep. When is it ever only a couple?
Training's tomorrow morning. There's some paparazzi around. We won't do anything stupid. Nobody will be any the wiser. Just a couple of cold beers to stave off the hot heat in the south of France.
Yep.
Back to the hotel. Lights out by 10:30. Bosh. Safe for training in the morning.
Yep.
That's common sense, Daniel.
Yeah, and is that exactly how it played out?
No.
Surprise, surprise. Thank you very much. Cheers, Craig. Cheers, Frank. More from us tomorrow. Till then, bye-bye. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.